welcome to this series on advertising. Today we are going to study Unit 1 and in this we will cover types of advertising. Now let us study the objective of this lecture. The basic objective of this study is to focus on the various types of advertising used in the market. We will also study the impact and use of specialized advertising. Now let us study the types of advertising. The first is product and institutional advertising. The other classification is based on audience directed, on basis of time response, on basis of demand influence, on the basis of geographical coverage, the basis of cooperative advertising and according to the medium used. So, these are the bases on which we classify the advertising. Depending on the requirement of the media, the reach, the audience, there are various types of advertising prevalent in the market. Now, let us study each classification in details. First is the product and institutional advertising. The product ad emphasizes on the features of the product such as price, quality, functionality and other features. This is informative product advertising, this is persuasive product advertising, this is reminder oriented advertising. The institutional ad basically focuses on creating a positive attitude or image towards the institution. Now, see, we have product advertising which generally relates to the functionality of the product, that is we highlight the new uses of the product, their new features and the other variations of the product. Then the institutional advertising basically is not related to the features and the specification, but it tries to create a credibility and image of the institution. If the institution is highly respectable, then all the products would be respectable. Like if the Tata Group advertises the group's image on basis of corporate social responsibility, then obviously all the products which are so diversified and maybe more than hundreds of products in the market, even if different advertising is not done, they carry a reputation in the market. So, institutional advertising is also important when you are focusing on the new launches and the new specifications. Now, let us study the classification based on audience directed. This is consumer advertising, industrial advertising and trade advertising. Now, what is consumer advertising? This focuses on consumers where the demographics are used so as to target them. You have gender aids, like if you are marketing and advertising lipsticks, you would target the women sector. So, this is basically the communication is with the customer. Now, when we talk about industrial advertising, this advertising is not through print or through social media or through TV, because the industrial products are not used by consumers. So, we will waste money. Industrial marketing basically is a B2B marketing, that is business to business, consumers communicate with each other through personal selling or through brochures or through professional websites. Like you have India Mart where all the suppliers are there. So, all the business people who are involved in buying and selling their goods to the industrial house would refer to these sites. Then you have trade advertising. Trade advertising is basically generally agent based, that is the dealers and the retailers who are in the industry. They are also big buyers of products and services in the market, or you have tour operators and travel agents. So, they buy in bulk and then they sell it to the retail consumers. So, they are advertised in a different way, that the marketing would require less cost as compared to the consumer advertising where you have to reach to the masses in a big way. Now, let us study classification on time base. This could be direct action advertising and it could be indirect action advertising. The direct action advertising basically relates, you give a kind of a response and people will give you a feedback, that is instant advertising or live advertising. When we try to go for live functions, like you have Indian Idol, where we try to take the feedback of each artist through SMS or through live voting. Within seconds and within minutes, you come to know which thing is selling in the market or which celebrity has got more voting. Indirect advertising is, we take time, we give time for a response, so that the advertising could be delivered in a way where indirectly the customers are influenced and they build an image for the product. Indirect advertising would be somewhere complementary advertising, like if you are selling some kind of medicines, the customers will directly buy the injections. So, we do not need to advertise injections, because injections would be bought if the medicines are used. So, there are many things where we go for indirect advertising. This takes time and this takes intelligence to market the things in a better way in the industry. Now, let us study the demand influence focus, that is the primary demand advertising and the selective demand forecasting. The primary demand advertising basically relates to the focus on products which are of fast moving goods in the industry, that is you have consumer items which are needed on daily basis, like soaps, shampoos, bread, milk. So, this advertising is mass advertising and basically creates primary demand. But selective demand forecasting is that there are products which everybody is not using. There is a class of customers who would use that product. The class of customers would be classified on basis of education, income, or on basis of their intellectual abilities. Like if you are selling good literature, then you need a class of people who would be able to understand and read that literature. Or if you are selling artistic paintings which are worth crores of rupees, then you do not find consumers ready to invest in these kinds of paintings even if they are rich. So, you need to have taste, the passion, the understanding, desire and money to buy such kind of painting in the market. Then advertising based on extent of geographical coverage. This is national advertising, regional advertising and local advertising. So, when we talk about the national issues and the national products which are sold all over India, the brands which have become so big that the investments are in all destinations and they have larger and strong distribution channels, they would require national media and national channels to sell their products. Regional advertising is based on caste, culture, because there are many products which are sold on region basis. If you are residing in a South Indian community, your food habits are very different. So, the kind of the taste which is needed in South will not be sold in North India. So, maybe if you are selling idli sambar, that is a diet speciality of that particular community. So, we design regional advertisements to make that products successful in particular languages used in some parts or some states of any country or economy. Local advertising is basically the advertising in the vicinity where the local retailer tries to advertise the retail chain, so that people understand the brand of the chain and get communicated to that center to buy the goods and services. Then is cooperative advertising. Advertising by deals in the cooperative arrangement with the producer on predetermined basis is known as cooperative advertising, where you have horizontal cooperative ads and vertical cooperative ads. Now, here the manufacturer and the retailer can combine with the sports events, and the goods can be advertised in the event management companies. So, you have combination of various players in the industry on the basis of horizontal and vertical integration. Horizontal is when different products of same industry are sold, like Tata would sell their shoes or their other products which are available with the company through a retail chain, or vertical integration would be the sub parts of the assembly and the main part, that is the assembled good, would be sold. Like if you are selling cars, you would sell accessories also through this advertising. Then is professional advertising. Ads by manufacturers, they are aimed at professionals who sell goods and recommend their products to the consumers. This kind of advertising is known as professional advertising. A physician recommends specific drugs to the clients which are purchased from a pharmaceutical retailer. So, professional advertising is not done through TV or through mass media, because specific drugs according to the specific needs of each individual body can only be recommended by doctors, and they are sold through special outlets. Like medicines would not be available with all the counters of the supermarkets or with all the counters of the uh, fast moving consumer goods, but there are drug stores which have license and which specifically sell these medicines on recommendation of an expert. Then you have classified advertising. Advertisements published in newspapers or magazines at a specific place is known as classified advertising. Ad pages in newspapers under the caption of situations vacant or education etc. relate to the classification. Now, there is one page on the newspaper where classified ads are given, maybe for a reality sector or for recruitment or for selling and buying goods and services, or you have property sold, or you need to generally advertise your other services to the market. You have classified columns in the newspapers, and also some websites like OLX where you can post your requirements and advertise your goods and services to be sold in the market. Now, let us study the other types of advertising. Advertising in video games. Digital games are important form of media consumption. Virtual players can view their product placements. This could increase the visibility and enhance the value of the brand name. The digital ads can encounter the blocking softwares. This is the biggest disadvantage. Now, because the virtual media has grown up and it has become a form of consumption and a daily need for people like most of the children and even adults, when we are in railways and when we are at airports, we are busy waiting. So, this waiting time is utilized in playing games. So, this is a big form of consumption. These games are embedded with ads of many products, maybe related to the sportswear or related to daily needs, and the biggest company which has used this platform to portray its success is Patanjali. Patanjali has designed their embedded ads in many video games, where you have to click the ad to get the score or the lifeline. So, this ad basically becomes important to promote your product and keep the interest of the viewers enthusiastic while they are playing the games. Then is the aerial advertising. This incorporates the use of aircraft or drones to display the static banner or logo. This is used for people in flights. Now, advertising has crossed the barriers of the global world and reached to the limits of the aviation industry also, where planes are flying with their brands, where they are carrying the company's names, airports have logos displayed, and even there are drones flying in most of the parties when we are shooting or doing videographies, or even in the sky when we are going, we see other aeroplanes carrying the logos and the banners. So, this is also advertising which is done to catch up a specific segment of the people in the sky. Then let us study barn advertisement. Barn advertisement is printed on roadside barns prominent in rural landscapes. The painters draw the murals and manage the logos. Now, barn advertisement is used on landscapes, like when we are going to Kulu Manali or to Kashmir or to other valleys. You have beautiful landscapes, stones and mountains, where those spaces are selected and creative painting is done, creative statues are created, murals are designed to print the logo of the brands, which makes the products popular in creative destinations. Then is billboard advertising. Billboard is founded in high traffic areas. It is customized advertising, can be shown through the creative minds in high traffic areas. People can see the advertisement every day as they pass through that area. The highways give high exposure to the customers. Now, billboards is a very common form of advertisement which is a high value for the remembrance of the product, because daily if something clicks in your mind, that becomes a point of remembrance, and that also becomes a point to refer your crossings, like that becomes a mark to know where you have reached and how far you are from your destination. So, billboards signal your distances with the advertisements of the product and give you help also. So, this advertising also helps people to connect with the brands in a better way. Then advertising in biology. Advertising in biology means the use of animal and plants to signal the best ways to attract the breeding and the pollination. Now, even live animals and live plants and flowers are used in the most nascent stages to attract people to see their breeding and the pollination. Like the flowers, when they are glowing, they display their beauty and they send their fragrance to the nearby environment. So, the insects carry the grains from the other flowers to their flowers. So, this kind of pollination makes the flowers more beautiful. So, advertising is not only used by human beings, but it is also used by animals, and this media is also manipulated by the human psychology to give you the best creativity in the industry. Now, you have comparative advertising. Comparison of alternative brands on measurable attributes like price, quality, features is important. It identifies the alternative brand by name, illustration and other distinctive information. Now, comparative advertising is important when you are investing large amount of money, like you are investing 5 lakhs to buy a car. So, the car dealer would frame a matrix of all the brands in that price segment and would give you the illustration that what is the mileage, what is the motor capacity, what is the kind of the emissions and what is the kind of the capacity of the car to travel. So, this illustration is important, that because they rank their prices and quality according to the variations available in the market. So, this kind of comparative advertising is very important when we are dealing with costly products in the market, or like suppose if you are investing in universities, they are ranked according to their intangible names and according to their collaborations and their soft wealth of connections with the other industry partners. The other is contextual advertising. This system scans the text of a website for keywords and returns advertisements to the web page based on those keywords. Ads are displayed on the web page. It is use of pop-up ads. Sports websites like can display ads of sports goods. The content of an ad correlates to the content of the web page which the user is viewing. Now, the context based advertising has become very important in the online media. Suppose if I am reading an article which is related to some difficulty in my life, you are trying to find the solution to that problem, and suddenly an ad would pop up about that instrument or this technology which will solve your problem. See, like if I am looking at a video which is how to cut a pineapple, because that is a tough fruit to be cut. So, ad related to pineapple cutter would just pop up near my screen. So, this is basically the content which you are reading. The softwares would scan the taste, the psychology and the problem of the viewer and would try to give you that kind of advertisements related to those pages. So, if you are reading sports article, you would get ads related to sportswear and ads related to the sports goods also. So, this kind of context based advertising has grown up in this specialized market because it is more customized and more professional. You have direct response television advertisement. Any television advertising asking consumers to respond directly to the company by calling through, that is a toll free number, sending SMS message and visiting a website. This is like telemarketing. many channels and televisions, they are selling their goods and services, showing you the goods and services, directly advertising to you, and instantly they ask you to order the goods by calling you through a toll free number. And here high incentives and discounts are given to the customers, so that they can do a quick purchase. Forehead advertising. Now, it was last reported that 64 students had featured ads on their foreheads for companies such as roommates.com. The forehead advertising made headlines in January and Feb 2005, when a 20-year-old man, Andrew Fisher, auctioned his forehead for advertising space on eBay. Now, this is some form of creative advertising which is very specialized and not very common, but here when you take up a kind of a cause, or you try to put a banner and logo of a brand on your head and move in public or show on website. So, this has also become popular with some companies, though it is not in vogue and it is not a buzz, but there is some offbeat kind of advertising also prevalent in the market. I will give you the source of this data in my link. Now, the non-commercial advertising. This is basically sponsored by religious and political organizations, where we try to stimulate the faith of the audience, we catalyze the inquiries for information, we try to decrease the wastage of resources, we try to change the habits to build the character of the nation, we try to popularize a social cause, we try to communicate a political viewpoint, and we try to improve the public attitude, and we remind people so that they can give the aid again and again. Now, non-commercial advertising can be used by government, can be used by civic organizations, can be used by non-governmental organizations, social organizations, and even by temples and religious organizations. This advertising basically cultivates faith, tries to build a community and a cult, so that people follow and they display their loyalty. Like you have political parties who would generally want you to register and become members. Maybe they are not selling anything, but they are selling an ideology. Ideology in terms of changing patterns, habits, and making a tribe which becomes powerful to build any kind of institution. Now, is point of sale display advertising. This is a specialized form of sales promotion near checkout counters in retail sector. This is intended to draw the customer's attention to the products. It is launch of products or special offers given at the counter. Now, point of sale or point of purchase is also important, because when customers enter the retail segment or the malls or other selling points, they are attracted by the ambience, they are attracted by the kind of the arrangement of the products. So, when you are checking out at that counter, you may have big promotional packages available, which the customers can buy if they are forgotten at the main point. So, point of purchase centers also force customers to buy many goods which they would have otherwise not thought if they would have not seen it. Then is shock advertising. Deliberately startles and offends its audience by violating norms for social values and personal ideals. Shock advertising is given when some offbeat concept is taken to portray some habit which is broken, or one social norm is broken, and the customers would at least talk about the ad and would criticize the product in some way. So, this kind of advertisement also is popular in the industry, so as to give the kind of the reach to the customers. Social media advertising, this is served to users on social media platforms. Social networks utilize user information to serve highly relevant advertisements. Ads based on type of professional and personal interactions within a specific platform. Now, media has become important because everybody is using a mobile phone. Now, what we are consuming is being recorded, and if data is given to the apps when we are downloading, our location is tracked, our search history is also tracked. So, whatever we are consuming, that is basically the interest. So, to recognize the needs of the people and frame goods according to the problems of the people has also become a big concern for the research agencies. So, data nowadays has become important, and since big data and artificial intelligence, they are totally based on the consumption trends and the data in the industry. Data has become a valuable weapon for the industry to become rich. So, every search media is a kind of a wealthy source of information where they try to track what users are using. Now, social network advertising. Advertisers take advantage of users' demographics, behavioral information, functionality of network and the profession of the group. Demographics is the age, the education and the kind of the taste and the preferences. Behavioral information is the habits, the attitudes and indulgence of people. Functionality is you are a teachers group, you are a doctors group or you are a kitty party group. So, that basically defines the functions of the group, and profession is obviously the kind of the industry and the other segments which are highly professional in terms of institutions like educational institutes who advertise information on their websites. Social media basically helps to target goods on basis of geo-targeting, behavioral targeting and socio-psychographic targeting. Process of matching social network users characteristics with the content of advertisement. Now, what is geo-targeting? Geo is the geographical location. If a restaurant has come up in a particular destination, now a destination in New York cannot be sold to a person far off in the rural area. So, there is no point to reach to that customer. So, geo-targeting would generally locate to the customers who are in the vicinity of that particular location, and if that destination becomes popular, the business would be high. Behavioral targeting is that your interests, your hobbies and your basic connection with a particular industry, like if you are a sports player or if you are a voracious reader, so books can be targeted to you. Socio-psychographic is basically the social class and the culture. Like if you want to sell red wedding dresses, it is not very useful that you advertise in European destinations, because the Christian community is wearing white gowns in their wedding. So, the red wedding dresses could only be sold in the Indian continent, where the traditions of culture are strong, that you match up this color to the sanctity of the rituals happening in the marriage ceremony. Then is space advertising. Advertising is used in outer space of space flights. This is known as obtrusive space advertising. So, space advertising nowadays, because people are generally doing research through NASA and other organizations where rockets are being flowing to the other continents or other areas beyond Earth, that is a lot of research is done on the Mars destination also. So, we are trying to put our flags there also, and that content is also advertised there, so that companies have a brand. Like most of the companies like Tesla, they are conducting research in this field, and whatever rockets they are sending there have the brand and the logo of their company. Streaming media. Multimedia is always presented to the end user as they use it. Media player is used to start playing the data file, such as a digital file of a movie or a song, before the entire file has been transmitted. Now, it is streaming media. This is various form of audio, visual and written content. A combination of multimedia is designed when people are transferring their data or they are storing their file, or they are downloading any content from cloud or uploading any content to the cloud. So, here we basically the companies would just pop up their ads as the process goes on. Then is targeted advertising, done on three variations, that is demographic, behavioral and psychographic. So, the targeted demographic basis is the status, sex, age, level of education, income and your gender. Behavioral variables relate to values, personality, attitudes, opinions and lifestyle. Psychographic relates to your browser history, purchase history and recent activity. What you are doing on internet reflects your interest, reflects your inner psychology, reflects your basic intent, what you are planning to do in future, why you are studying particular aspect, because that relates to your ambitions and goal. So, the browser history and the purchase history and your activity on internet has become a very valuable data, where most of the companies, in fact, you are giving you free internet services and free calling services, like you have social media, WhatsApp, they do not charge you anything, but the content which you are selling is worth lot of money. So, the company earns revenue because there are many research companies who are buying the content. So, this kind of revolution which has come up in advertising is beyond the imagination of human mind, where we are selling data to frame the goods and services and to frame the content of the advertising itself. Then is the virtual advertising. Use of digital technology to insert virtual advertising images into live and pre-recorded television shows and also in sports events. So, whatever video you are showing on YouTube or you are showing sports events or any TV channel, virtually all space is hampered and dignified. Maybe the users are interested or the users are not interested, depending on the situation. The advertisements are everywhere. This context is used in every situation. Now, let us study the summary of this lecture. Advertising is a vast subject and can be customized and made innovative according to the needs of any group or situation, depending on the availability of resources and information. It is an ongoing, developing, research oriented subject. So, advertising is beyond imagination, it is beyond human creativity, that is, it can exist in any situation and context. Maybe it is publicity or it is the content which we are creating, everything is influencing our minds and psychology. So, advertising is a vast subject and this classification is only a glance. Every day new innovation is happening in the industry, new techniques are being designed and new creativity comes in the industry to match up with the specific changing needs and the trends of the industry. I hope the students must have got a kind of a basic classification of the advertising, but still you can go beyond this classification and design the ads in a more customized and a creative way. Thank you, students.